The map is now finished, and I'm just so glad it's finally over and... Oh, wait a minute. Oh no, that's no good. There we are. Now the map is finished. Hello folks, and welcome back to the third and final part of this series where I'm remastering The Simpsons Hit and Run, because the word retexturing just doesn't sound as good. If you've just discovered this series, then you've missed out on all of this, so go back and watch those first. Otherwise, let's crack on and get this thing done. I've now finished retexturing the entirety of the map. All that was really left was the Stonecutters tunnel, the rich side of town, and a few bits of this bridge section. Oh, and don't think I forgot about Burns' garden, which you can get into by breaking this fence in the power plant. It was a fairly quick thing to update, but weirdly the level 1 files also include all the textures for inside Burns' mansion, which you can't access until level 4. Unless you do something like this of course, but listen here folks, cheaters never prosper, so I didn't bother updating them. But on the subject of interiors, there are a few which I did need to retexture. In level 1 you can access the Simpsons house, the Quickie Mart, and Springfield Elementary. These were really fun to do because the textures varied so much compared to the typical walls, windows and building ones I'd redrawn so far. It was a great opportunity to compare to the show, get things more accurate, and whilst at it, add in a few extra references too. For example, I thought the school notice board would be the perfect spot for the lousy Smarch calendar. The Quickie Mart is already crammed with details, but I couldn't help but add a few more. Homer J. Fong can no longer pay with checks, the hot dogs are hygienically accurate, and I refreshed the reading material available in store. Last up was the Simpsons living room, which honestly didn't need a lot done to it since many of the props are solid colours anyway. That being said, there was some room for improvement. The kitchen curtains didn't even have corn on them. Kitchen? Corn? The generic newspaper on the floor was screaming out for something better as well, and boy are there plenty of headlines to pick from the show. Ultimately, the unusually large ugly baby born was the winner for me. And with that, the map was truly, properly finished. Whoa, hold on there Joe. You were a bit premature in recording this because there's actually something very important we need to address before calling the textures done. Feedback. In the previous episode, lots of you gave some very useful feedback that I wanted to work on. Now, what was it that seemed like the biggest issue? What was it? Oh right, yeah, the grass colour. So it seemed like the vast majority of you thought the grass was too bright, too bluish, and clashed with the game. In fact, it seems like the grass I made ages ago when testing stuff was the preferred option, and though I do maintain that this green is more show accurate, perhaps you're right in that not everything has to match perfectly, and some things are better left closer to the original game. So I tweaked the hue of the grass, shifting it into the warmer tone and a lot more like the original texture. And I have to admit, it is a lot easier on the eyes. Another idea you clever lot had was a way to fix the grass tufts clashing with the tree shadows. Instead of a filled texture, why not just have the outline of the grass? Genius! They still stand out a little bit, but they'd have to be as dark as the shadow to avoid this, and then they'd look too dark on the normal grass. And yeah, you might get a couple that look like this, but overall I think it's a big improvement. There were a few other textures that needed fixing too. It was shrewdly pointed out that the Diet Billboard screenshot is at night time, so the colours should be adjusted and brightened a bit. In the end I found the prop from The Simpsons Tapped Out and used that as reference. The hay bales next to the tyre fire didn't look quite right either, so I tried to match them to Tapped Out as well. Oh, and the tobacco plant colours were a bit garish before, so I cleaned them up. A lot of commenters suggested that I add more detail to the dirt texture since it was a bit plain. I tried to add a few more pebbles and splotches, but you've got to bear in mind that this texture repeats a lot. So in this case, the more detail I add, the more obvious the repetition becomes. Where it's at now is a good balance, I think. Lots of you channeled your inner Rainier Wolf Castle and told me
that's the joke
for why this bit of the power plant sign is unintelligible. A very good suggestion to recreate this smudge effect was to add a mess of pixels as if the dot matrix screen had broken. And just like that, we've now got all the signs back in the game. The last couple of suggestions were for more billboards to be added to the random rotation. Oh, and actually on the topic of billboards, I decided to redraw these two for Lard Lad and Mayor Quimby. They just didn't feel quite right, and I knew I could do better. These are what I ended up with instead, and I think they fit a lot better into the map. As for the additional billboards that will show up randomly, we've got the Red Blazer Realty from Season 9 and the Canyonero, also from Season 9. Okay, let's crack on with the rest of the episode. Now, you have to forgive me, but I recorded a lot of the footage you're about to see before making these changes, so you might spot the old grass or old textures reappear in some shots. Don't worry, it's all updated properly for the final mod release, I'm just too lazy to re-record some bits. Anyway, as I was saying. And with that, the map was truly, properly finished. Hundreds of Illustrator files and textures later, part 1 of my remaster plan was finally over. That just leaves part 2, which you may remember was to add more stuff to the map. Back in episode 1 I mentioned there are sections of the map which feel a little bare, and how adding just a few pre-existing in-game props could make the world feel more lived in. I'm not talking GTA levels of detail, but areas like this or this do feel a little barren, especially compared to other spots on the map where they've thrown in a bench or a few bins. These little props help to clutter the scene and add a bit more visual complexity to the otherwise quite low poly environment. This is especially the case when it comes to the new textures, which have simplified colours and less visual noise compared to the original versions. We need to add more to the map to counter that effect. There are two things I'm looking for in particular. Firstly, more props which have physics, meaning they can be kicked around and moved. Like the benches and bins I mentioned before. These are great because not only do they add detail, but they're interactive too and help make the map feel more dynamic. The second is models which have no collision at all. They're just set dressing you can walk right through. The reason I'm limiting it to just these two things is because I don't want to put anything more permanent onto the map. That feels like a step too far in terms of keeping faithful to the original game, and it risks changing aspects of the gameplay too. I could add a wall somewhere that the AI car gets stuck on during a mission, or lets you jump up somewhere out of bounds maybe. I can't be bothered dealing with any of that, so instead we're going to kiss. No, I meant keep it simple stupid. Sorry. I won't be making anything from scratch for this part, mainly because I hate 3D modelling. Well, actually that's not true. I hate 3D modelling when things have to look good. If I'm modelling the Simpsons as nightmare versions of themselves, then it's great fun. Yes, that is a shameless plug for this previous modding video, just in case you haven't seen it. More importantly though, creating custom models for this remaster opens up limitless possibilities of how to change the map. That's a slippery slope towards going too far, changing things too much and making this project go on for too long. Sometimes it's good to have limitations, so we're going to stick to things that are already in the game. We know what exists in level 1, let's go shopping for props around the other maps. Alright then, here we are in level 2 with Bart. Ugh, look at it. It's all the original textures and low quality and gross, but we're not here to judge. No. We're here to look around for some of the props, and immediately we can see these benches, which I actually think are in level 1, so nothing too new. Same with these bins. They're the same, but let's go look around and see what else there is that we can pinch and go place in level 1. Oh, look at this. Okay, so we've got a kind of barrier for the road, which you can break, and then you've also got these big pipes. These could work, maybe. I don't know. They're sort of, yeah, construction stuff. Maybe they could sit in a corner. Oh, what is that I see? Another bench. How exciting. Is this in level 1? Like a flat bench style? Quite like that. And I assume, yes, you can kick them too. Okay, great. That's going on the list. Oh, look, there's also parking meters as well. Would that work? Maybe. Oh, look. Oh, the newspaper stand. Oh, that is pretty good, although I don't really think that would work in a suburban setting. It does fit more here on Bart's map. Do you know what? We'll put it on the list anyway, but I can't really see that being used. Oh, and then here we are back at Jebediah Springfield. Okay, Bart's wasn't great, gonna be honest. I think in my head there was a lot more. Oh, hang on. Unless we wanted the monkey delivery box. Hiya! Maybe not. Let's go see what Lisa has. Ah, Lisa's level. Probably my favourite level in the entire game. I just love the vibe and the colours of this one. But I'm hoping it's got better stuff than Bart's one. Let's have a little drive around and see. I can immediately spot that there's some more benches, although I think they are a slightly different design in terms of the texture. Model's the same, so that's fine. We've already got that. What else do we have? So I know that Lisa's level has a lot more vegetation, like this right here. This is the sort of stuff we need. We need some bushes and trees and things to stick next to walls and fill some of the spaces there. Okay, that's great. Things like this, perfect. Ooh, look at this stuff. Look at what we have here. We've got the benches again, but look at this. We've got a little seating area with a parasol, and I think this chair is in the Simpsons garden, but not the table and the parasol. So this is nice. Kind of a more restaurant-y vibe. I don't know, maybe that would fit somewhere. It's going on the list. Wait a minute, what did I just see then? Go back, go back. Well, here we are, we're on the boardwalk. Look at this, we've got a sort of A-frame sign. Yes, these can be kicked. Okay. That's a good item. That could be retextured into something interesting. On the list it goes. Oh, look at this cute little cart. Oh, this place is great. This place is just chock-a-block with things that we need. Just filler items. This looks good. And you can kick it. Okay. Not really sure where this could go in level 1, but it's a good item nonetheless. Cameras. I'm thinking... no. Ooh, Duff mascots. I'm also thinking... no. Oh, look at this. Look.
This reminds me of when I was a little girl.
A whole mixture of different vegetation. This kind of ugly, spiky, dead-looking thing. Gigantic. Is that just scaled up? I think that's the same one, just scaled up. Or maybe not. And then there's this smaller one here. All of these could work. I mean, this entire area around the river and the Springfield sign, this is full of things that could be very useful. Because level 1 doesn't really have a lot of vegetation, so we could probably take a lot of this in. Ooh, I was about to go into Camp Krusty, but actually, look at this. Look at these little things outside. These are kickable, aren't they? I think. They sure are. Whoa. Sort of traffic cone things. Oh, they could go anywhere and work. Perfect. Okay, they're on the list. Alright, and here we are back at the beginning. Okay, a lot more successful with Lisa's level. I think there's a lot here we could take, especially the plants and the foliage. So let's head back over and start putting it in level 1.
Oh, the guild.
Okay, we have a list of items. Now it's time to work out how to add them to the map and place them exactly where we want. Back in the Pure 3D editor, I could see these were dynamic physics objects. I hoped just copying and pasting from a level 2 file into a level 1 file would do the trick, and tried it out with these benches from the town square. Expanding the dynamic physics object revealed the mesh model file, the collision file, and an instance list. I deleted all but one instance to test with, and clicked through until I found the section which had transform data. From previous attempts at modding, I knew the Pure 3D editor had the ability to paste in location coordinates directly from the game. So I stood outside the Simpsons house and placed the bench there. And voila, it worked! Okay, it had missing textures, but that's an easy fix. A little while later, I had tons of props scattered outside the house like a big yard sale, including the foliage. The files for those were similar, except they didn't have any collision data because you can walk straight through them. I gave them a quick retexture, mainly using textures I'd already made, and got started placing things around Evergreen Terrace. I thought this would be the easy part of the project to do. Compared to the hundreds of textures I had to redraw by hand, surely plonking down a few objects around the map would be simple. Wrong. Not only was this a technically frustrating process having to constantly import and export files from Blender for each region of the map so I could accurately position and rotate things, but more crucially, this was the part of the project where personal preference really came into play. Throughout everything so far, I've been guided by what was already there or what was inaccurate to the show. For this last part, adding more detail, well, that's completely open to interpretation. It was strangely overwhelming, and I soon found myself spending far too long obsessing over tiny, insignificant aspects, such as arranging a mixture of foliage here next to the Flanders house, which in the end just looked rubbish anyway. In fact, foliage was the hardest part to work out. I had imported 3 types of bush from level 3, but just couldn't get them looking like they belonged on the map. In the end, I ditched 2 and stuck with just a plain bush and spammed that in the corners and walls where it seemed a bit bare. Searching high and low across the map, I eventually found locations for the other props to fill some empty space. Mainly benches. Lots and lots of benches. Which makes sense because the map is mostly just roads and pavements, so not much else made sense to go there. I stuck some pipes in the power plant car park, a nice patio set outside the Bush's house, and even an advert outside Lard Lads. The poorer side of town is probably the most detailed section of the map, so it didn't need much more adding to it. Just a few bins here and there to make it look extra grungy. In all honesty, by this point I could feel the burnout setting in. It was a tedious process that wasn't as creative or satisfying as the retexturing was. I was keen to get this thing wrapped up, and for that reason didn't do as much as I originally envisioned doing with this part of the project. Maybe I was overly confident on how effective this would all be, especially coming after the retexturing, which made a much bigger impact on the visuals. Compared to that, adding a few bins and benches didn't seem as significant anymore. Oh well, I'm still glad I did it, and I do think it helps just a little bit. All that was left to do was give the missions a quick run through to double check it's all still working and no glaringly obvious textures were missed. And it was a good thing I checked, else I would have missed things like this lemonade stand, or these props overlapping, or the power plant door that only loads for mission 7 to block the path. Easy fixes though, especially the door which just reuses other textures. Everything else was absolutely fine. No wait, better than fine. It looked great! I mentioned in the previous episode that I've become a bit blind to this mod after working on it so much, but seeing it all come together playing through the missions felt fantastic. Yes, it's akin to putting lipstick on a pig from 2003, but I'd like to think it's ended up as a bit of a tease or a glimpse into what a more modern hit and run could look like. And of course a love letter to a game that means so much to me, both from my childhood and more recently here on YouTube. It feels a bit weird to be finishing this remaster project. It's been something I've been chipping away at ever since the start of the year, believe it or not. Ever since I started playing mods for Hit and Run back in 2019 and seeing what's possible with the tools out there, this has been something I've always wanted to try doing. Of course, there's so much more that could be added with more time or more people involved. The rest of the levels, the vehicles, the UI, the cutscenes. Better yet, this could be played alongside other mods to truly make the game feel brand new. Imagine these textures combined with the connected map, the missions from the Full Game Plus mod, more costumes, more landmarks, the list goes on. There's such a strong modding community out there for Hit and Run, who knows what the future holds. However, as they say, perfectionism is the enemy of progress, so for now I'm leaving it there. Consider this version 1.0, and perhaps something I'll come back to later on. Until then, I'll be releasing it as a mod for you to play and explore yourselves. Since I'm recording this ahead of actually uploading it somewhere online, be sure to check down in the description or a pinned comment about where to find it. And if you do end up playing it, please come back and let me know your thoughts, I'd love to hear them. Oh, and a couple last plugs before the video ends. If you enjoyed this series, please do give the videos a like and consider subscribing to the channel. As long as mods are out there for this game, I'll be playing them right here on YouTube, as well as all sorts of other gaming stuff coming soon. Okay, that's enough yapping. Thanks for watching this series, and until next time, take care, bye bye.